There are pyramids known to the world, and then there are those erased from history, structures that should not exist, places where time bends, where shadows move against the wind, and where the gods themselves have sealed their wrath. Legends whisper of the Pyramid of Shadows, a tomb so cursed that even the most daring grave robbers refuse to speak of it, a structure said to hold not just the body of a forgotten pharaoh, but something far more terrifying, a prison for a god's fury. But the greatest mystery of all is not the pyramid itself, but the guardian who watches over it, the god of the dead, the keeper of lost souls, the relentless judge of the afterlife, Anubis. What happens when mortals trespass where only gods should tread? What secrets lie buried beneath the shifting sands? And why do those who enter never return? Tonight, we unravel the curse of Anubis and the Pyramid of Shadows. To understand the Pyramid of Shadows, we must look beyond the ruins, beyond what history dares to remember. For Egypt, a land of gods and pharaohs, was built upon secrets, some carved into stone for all to see, others hidden in whispers, passed only to those who swore never to speak them. Anubis, the jackal-headed god of death, guardian of the underworld, judge of souls. To the ancients, he was not merely a myth. He was the last presence one would see before stepping into eternity. And yet, among his many temples and tombs, there is one name that has been carefully erased from time, a single monument that should not exist, yet does. The Pyramid of Shadows, an unrecorded monument, lost in the shifting sands. Unlike the great pyramids of Giza, this one was not built for a king. It was built as a warning, a seal, a prison. According to forbidden texts, there was once a pharaoh who sought the power of the gods themselves, a ruler so consumed by his own divinity that he committed the ultimate sin. He defied the balance of Ma'at, the sacred order of the universe, and for this he was condemned not to death, but to something far worse. The priests of Anubis, knowing what had been unleashed, sought to contain it. They constructed the Pyramid of Shadows, not as a tomb, but as a cage, a monument built to hold something, someone, that should never be freed. But history has a way of forgetting its own warnings. The sands bury the past, and now, with modern discoveries and restless souls seeking lost treasures, the seal may not hold for much longer. What happens when the past refuses to stay buried? Not all pyramids were meant to be entered. Not all tombs were meant to be opened. But there is a flaw in human nature, a hunger for forbidden knowledge. And so, despite warnings, despite omens, there are always those who seek what should remain hidden. In the late 19th century, British explorers claimed to have uncovered something unnatural buried beneath the desert, a structure unlike any other pyramid, its design violating the sacred geometry of Ma'at. They spoke of hieroglyphs that seemed to shift under torchlight, of carvings that whispered when no one was near, of a presence watching from the dark. One by one, they'd vanished. Some found wandering the desert in a trance, speaking in tongues older than Egypt itself. Others were never found at all. The few who survived returned to England with their minds shattered, whispering one name before falling into silence: Anubis. But what did they disturb? What lay beneath the sands, waiting? To understand, we must go back to the origins of Anubis himself and the curse that binds him to the Pyramid of Shadows. Anubis was not always the silent guardian of the dead. In the oldest myths, he was something more, a force that judged not only the dead, but the living. He was the keeper of the veil, the one who decided whether a soul could pass into the afterlife or be cast into eternal darkness. But there are whispers, hidden in forbidden scrolls, that speak of a time when Anubis was betrayed, when a mortal pharaoh, consumed by power, sought to control them. This pharaoh, whose name has been erased from history, did the unthinkable. He tried to steal the power of the gods. He performed a ritual so profane, so cosmic in its arrogance, that even the gods recoiled in horror. And so, as punishment, the priests of Anubis did what had never been done before. They did not kill him. They buried him alive in the Pyramid of Shadows, binding him with Anubis's curse, a curse so powerful it could only be spoken once, lest it consume the speaker as well. They sealed the tomb, leaving behind a single warning: he is not dead, he is waiting. And now, after thousands of years, the door is opening again. Have you ever felt it? That presence in an empty room, the sensation that something, is watching from just beyond sight. Some believe it is merely the mind playing tricks, but what if it is not? The Pyramid of Shadows is no ordinary tomb. It is not a place of rest. It is a prison built not for a mortal man, but for a being that should never have walked among us. The cursed pharaoh, his name erased from history, did more than anger the gods. He stole something from them. According to esoteric scholars, this lost ruler of Egypt performed a ritual unlike any other. He did not seek wealth. He did not seek immortality. He sought the K of Anubis himself, the divine essence of the god of death. And for a fleeting moment, he succeeded. It is written in hidden texts that Anubis did not simply curse him, he tore his soul apart. But a pharaoh does not die like an ordinary man. His body became a vessel, something inhuman, something that could not pass into the afterlife. And so, the priests of Anubis, in a desperate act, sealed him within a pyramid unlike any other. But here is where the story twists. Because something happened, something no one expected. The tomb was meant to be his eternal prison, but it did not just contain him, it fed him. The Pyramid of Shadows was not built like any other. Its geometry does not align with sacred Ma'at. Some say it was designed using an unknown mathematics, something that bends reality itself. And inside, time does not move the way it should. Time decayed, but the pharaoh did not. His body changed. His ka, fractured and incomplete, began to call out, reaching beyond this world. What answered him is something we may never understand. And now, the pyramid is waking once more. In recent years, explorers, looters, and even researchers have reported strange phenomena. Whispers from the dark, vanishing team members, and most disturbingly, symbols appearing on their skin overnight. The old warnings were clear. Do not speak his name. Do not step inside. Do not wake him. But humanity has never been good at listening. The last team to enter never returned. What they unleashed, no one knows. But if the stories are true, if the whispers are right, then the curse of Anubis is more than just a legend. It is a warning, and one that we have already ignored for far too long. If this was merely a legend, a cautionary tale woven by fearful priests, then we could leave it in the pages of history. But esoteric scholars understand, myths are rarely just stories. They are maps, warnings, and sometimes instructions. The curse of Anubis is not just about a lost pharaoh. It is about the nature of power, the arrogance of humankind, and the secrets that lie beneath our reality. But there is something more, something that speaks to us even now. Even today, those who venture too close to certain knowledge find themselves ensnared. Have you ever felt it? A place that unsettles your very bones. A symbol you don't understand, yet instinctively fear. This is the mark of something older than us, something that does not want to be known. But we are not without defenses. For those who seek knowledge, there are safeguards, methods passed down through whispers, hidden in plain sight. They come in the form of geometry, vibration, and intention. The same forces that open doors can also seal them. Ancient Egyptian priests understood this balance. Their architecture was not just stone, but resonance. Their symbols were not mere art, but equations. Did you ever wonder why pyramids were built? Not just in Egypt, but across the world. Why their angles align with forces beyond human comprehension? Perhaps they were never tombs at all. Perhaps they were locks. For those who wish to protect themselves from forces beyond understanding, the answer lies in symbols, sound, and vigilance. 3 protective practices. The power of symbols. Sacred geometry is not decoration. It is reinforcement. The Ankh, the Eye of Horus, and lesser-known glyphs act as keys. Understanding them means understanding the architecture of reality. Resonance and frequency. Ancient chants, specific sound frequencies, and even the vibrations of certain materials disrupt invisible forces. They do not banish, but they obscure. Intent and awareness. The greatest defense is knowledge. Do not call upon what you do not understand. Do not name what should not be named. And most of all, if you hear the whispers in the dark, do not answer. History is written by the victors, but the truth is often buried, hidden beneath layers of myth, guarded by silence, and protected by fear. The curse of Anubis was never just about a vengeful god or a haunted tomb. It was a warning, a barrier placed between our world and something else. Perhaps you feel it now, a shadow at the edge of your awareness, a whisper that was never spoken, the realization that we have walked too close to something vast, something watching. There are those who seek and those who hide. Which will you be? But remember, knowledge is a key, and every key has its price. Some doors should never be opened. Some names should never be spoken.